Hey guys, this is my new to me 2008 YZ250F. Built it as a woods bike, so I made a video before. It's basically a tall man budget woods bike. I took it out, did probably 30 miles of single track today. I love how flowy this is. And well, reason I'm back here, my friends are still out. My front brakes failed on me. Really weird thing to happen. Like, I still have pressure, but they just don't stop the wheel. So I don't know what the deal is there. I'll have to tear into that. But yeah, I got it set up pretty good. So everything I did to it, I got a skid plate to start out with. Happy I did, because bashed it on a good rock a little bit ago. Got new chain. It's an X-ring chain, not an MX chain. New sprockets. It's stock gearing. I'm used to taller gearing because I started out riding dual sports. So that's not a big deal to me. Then I got a flywheel weight. That's probably the best modification I've done so far. You can just lug it on trails now. Then did springs for my weight. Don't remember the exact specifications, but I'm 290 pounds, so I had to do that. Have to do it for every bike. Rebuilt the forks. That was pretty easy, pretty straightforward. I did it myself. What else I do? I did front bearings, steering stem bearings. I put rock risers on. These are really nice for my height. These nice Pro Taper bars were already on there. Did these like knockoff ASV unbreakable levers were already on there too. You got Pro Taper pillow tops. And then pro tip for taller riders, if you really want to raise up your bars and you don't have enough slack in your throttle cables, flip it upside down. Works really well. I got a Tusk throttle tube, aluminum one, with a bearing in it, so it's really smooth action there. What else? Got a Shinko Fatty front tire. I think it's the 546. Really thick. Really works well for rolling over obstacles and stuff. And then it's for less rolling resistance. Well, the rear tire has a rim lock. That was in there when I bought it. This is a Michelin Starcross, I believe. Seems to work all right. It hooks up good. But I'm not going to be running rim locks. And that's because at my weight I have to run higher pressure anyways. So, had that. I also got a tall seat. As you can see, it's pretty much flat. I'll get a better view of it here. Works out good. I got it for like 30 bucks on eBay. Can't really beat that. Since I'm woods riding, I had to get a spark arrestor end cap. This is the stock pipe, but just has a spark arrestor in it now. But beyond that, I haven't really done much to it, I guess. I wanted to get drop pegs, but those are very expensive. So yeah, give you some thoughts about it. So compared to, say, my old WR250R, the suspension is much firmer. It's valved a lot firmer too. Makes it better for hitting little jumps and stuff and really railing it hard. And then the biggest difference between this bike and my WR is going into berms. You can go into berms much harder and faster with this bike. But my only issue with this is this really, like, this works better if you're riding faster. So the type of single track we did today was really flowy. You could really keep your speed up, and actually, like, this is perfect for that. And with the WR, I found that bike a little bit easier to ride in like slower technical terrain just because of the lower power output. Like, this is kind of like the power output of all or nothing. Like, when you give it, it goes. But yeah, it's all right. I mean, if you're a rider that loves to ride more aggressively and you're my size, I would say this would work out really well for you. The valving is the two biggest issues with converting an MX bike to woods bikes is the really tall gearing on MX bikes made for going faster on a track, right? Well, since I came off dual sports, that's not a big issue to me. But and then the other one is the suspension is valved for jumps, so it's going to have lots of resistance to the flow of oil inside the fork, so the forks aren't going to, well, when you put heavier springs in it, it's harsh riding it, but it's not as harsh as I thought it would be, and that's probably because of my weight. So for a taller guy, the suspension setup would work if you're on a budget, but I would still rather have everything valved and sprung for my weight, which it's sprung for my weight, but not valved. But yeah, beyond that, I mean, really the only little maintenance items I had to do when I picked it up was I had to do the carb boot, rebuild the carb, because this bike's been sitting for a while, but it runs great. From what I can tell, it has no motor work, stock top end and everything. Motor sounds like a sewing machine. It sounds awesome. Show you how many hours are on it here. 123.2. That's a lot of hours for a stock YZ. As far as I can tell, it hasn't been touched. But runs awesome. I had it pretty much torn right down to the frame though, besides the motor. I just had a lot of little like maintenance things I had to do, carb boot, bearings. I put new plastics on it too, as you can see. Looks a hell of a lot better than what it did. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just because of the COVID inflation for bike prices, I'm thinking about selling it. Just because like I said, it's a great bike. If you're looking to go a lot faster, ride really flowy trails, like if you're, let's say like third gear plus, where you can go really fast, like what I was just riding today, it'd be awesome for that. Or if you're just a more aggressive rider in general, but you get into the technical stuff, like what I was riding on my second loop out, they have an intermediate section. This thing does not work well. I would have been much more comfortable on my WR, where the power output's a lot calmer. But yeah, if you're my size, more aggressive rider, I'll post my build list, everything I have into it. I'm sure I missed some things. I'll also put in total cost. I'm pretty sure it's right at $3,000. Is what I have into it, which is pretty comparable to just going and buying, well, not right now, I should say. Like before the whole COVID price inflation thing happened, it's pretty comparable to what a cross-country bike just would have costed outright. But problem with that is that even after that, buying the cross-country bike, I still have to buy tall people mods. I would have had to respring it, still would have had to revalve it at my weight. So I'd be putting a lot of the same money into those bikes that I would with this. But I'm gonna get the front master fixed. I'm probably gonna take it to the single track in Black River, see how that goes. But yeah, I don't know what the issue is with this. Kind of confusing to me. It's like I was saying, I'm more of a lazy rider. I'm not an aggressive rider by any means. I prefer the flowy trails like this, but I don't like going super fast on the flowy trails. For a seasoned veteran with that flywheel weight, 13-ounce Steely flywheel weight, which is awesome. I can just lug the bike around now. I mean, you can be pretty lazy with it, but it's still an aggressive machine that wants to be ridden fast. But if you got good clutch control, you can make it work. If you're on a budget and you just want a bike to ride with your friends, this will work. So yeah, we'll see. Probably get rid of it and just start riding DR, honestly. My DR 650 that I got now. Got that all decked out. I plan on doing the Trans-Wisconsin Adventure Trail at some point. Looking forward to that. But with COVID inflation, I'm thinking I could probably get $3,500 to $4,000 out of this bike right now. So I'm heavily considering selling it. But yeah, mainly because it doesn't really suit my riding style. But this is how I do things. I mean, I somewhat heed to the advice on forums and stuff on, you know, like what guys say and not. I was told that this was going to be a terrible woods bike. I disagree somewhat. For my riding style, it's not the best. But like I said, if you're more of an aggressive rider, I think this is an awesome choice. And you won't go wrong. Also, it has quite a small frame on it, so my biggest issue with it, well, second biggest issue besides me being more of a lazy rider. I'm also not the most skilled rider by any means. But my second biggest issue with it is that it has a pretty small frame compared to the newer bikes, even the WR250R. So if you don't have a seat, don't have these bars up, you're really going to be bending over at my height. And I already am bending over, but figured I'd throw that out there. Yeah, it's all right. For the fast, flowy trails, if you're my height, you get a bike cheap like this, I say go for it. It'll make a good woods bike for you. But if you're more of a lazy rider, still not really skilled, I would highly recommend to avoid. Mainly just because I mean, this has the power where, and I mean, to some people this isn't a lot of power, but to me it is. I'm not super skilled yet. So you can really screw yourself up, but if you're smaller than me, I think this would be a good bike for you, just in general. If I was able to more comfortably stand up on it consistently, this would be an awesome bike. But I go through this with every bike I own. I have to mod it out, make it fit me. Oh, well, I found out what the issue is with my caliper. The bolt just must have came off. Okay. Well, easy fix. I even Loctited that too, so that's weird. Like I was saying before, I have to do that. I have to mod out every bike like this that I own just because of my size. I have to do tall people mods. I mean, I know there are guys that claim it ruins the leverage and this and that of the bike, but I don't care. I mean, I'm getting a little older now. I'm not concerned with being the fastest rider. I'm just concerned with getting out there and having fun. So, yeah. It's all right. But I'm thinking I'm going to sell it. We'll see. It was a really fun project. I love building things up to fit me. It's going to sound weird, but that's one of my favorite parts of riding, is just the build itself. And I love trying different things. So this was an awesome experience. I'm grateful that I'm very grateful that I'm in a position to try different things and be able to afford this stuff. So it's awesome. I worked really hard to get to this point. And I really appreciate all the input that you guys give me. You're all awesome. This is a fun sport. I mean, this is riding dirt bikes and single track and stuff is the most fun I've ever had doing anything. It's competitor with the most fun the most fun that I've ever had. I was out there, I was riding at 20 psi front and back, and yes, I know that's really high for a dirt bike, but that pressure means I don't have to run rim locks. But I mean, my buddies that were with me today, they were having a little bit of trouble. They were struggling with the sand and stuff, and you could tell. But you get into sand with this thing, and the lightness of it just makes it so much easier. Like, I wasn't concerned about it at all. And I'm not a good enough rider to test the limits of this bike at all. So, yep. So, yeah. There is that. But, yep, this has been my Tall Man MX bike project for woods. So that's, I guess, I mean, it came to, I wish I would have liked it more out on the trail, but I mean, I did, in this trail was fun with it. But once I did the tighter, more intermediate loop with more technical terrain and stuff like that, it really started to show its limitations. So I get what they say about MX bikes, but if you're on really flowy single track, just blasting through the woods, this is going to be an awesome choice. And at our, well, guys close to my size, even if you're like 250 plus, the valving isn't going to bother you at all, especially if you're standing riding through this stuff. But don't back the compression off all the way to loosen it up and make it feel better for you, because you do that, you're going to start losing traction on the front tire. You can't have it just blowing right through. And then you want to make sure you set your sag, make sure that's all good. I got mine set for me. So yeah, we'll see. I'll post it up and just tell whoever buys it that the old springs are going to be included and old seats going to be included. Old plastics are gone because, well, those were total junk. These new plastics look good on this bike too, I'll say that much. I like it. But yeah, it's been a super fun project. I really enjoyed it. I would love to have a YZ250X, but with COVID inflation, they're so overpriced right now. Then another thing that scares me about this bike is, if for real, keeping it for a long period of time. I really don't want to do any head work, because that's when 4-strokes start getting very, very expensive, like rebuilding. Because you can throw a new top end in and be fine, but as soon as you start getting into the head, like needing new valves, you're talking like, even just for the parts, you're talking $1,000. You're getting up there. To me, that's not really worth it. And then I'd rather just sell it while it's running good, running real good. I didn't have a single issue with how it ran on the trail today. I was expecting all sorts of issues or whatever, and it's just my front caliper fell off. That is not what I was expecting at all. So, yeah, whatever. Not too big of a deal. At least it held on there. That's a plus. But I wasn't going to ruin the ride for the other guys I was with either. So those guys we drove 4 hours to be here. And I got about 2 hours of riding in. It's pretty good for me. And it's the first ride of the season, so I am sore. Real sore. But I figured I'd make a video while I was waiting for those guys. So if you guys have any questions, comment, or concerns, comment down below. And like I said, it's been a really fun project. I really enjoy building these things up, putting money into them and stuff, and just making it a nicer bike in general, because this thing was really worn out looking when I got to it. So kind of everything that I did to it, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like I really breathed some life back into this bike. And this will be an awesome machine for somebody to come in the future, or for somebody to use in the future. But it's, like I said, it's not a terrible bike off-road. I thought it was really fun still, especially for a trail like this where it's not too technical. Really lots of sand, lots of churns and stuff where you can really get your speed up. I mean, there were sections where I was going, like, I was third gear pinned just on a straightaway, and like, perfect for that. But like I said, getting into the more technical stuff, it's just the suspension's slightly too harsh for that kind of riding. Suspension's too harsh, and I don't know. I just don't think I'm a dirt bike guy, you know? I would absolutely love to try, well, I tried Jason's, my buddy Jason's KTM 300 XCW. Really soft, but I love the ability to lug that bike. But with COVID inflation, you're talking like $5-6 grand for one of those right now. It's insane. Even these things are selling for like $3,500 in my area, like clapped out ones, total junk. So I think I might join in the fun on that. So yeah, But I hope you guys enjoyed this little series that I did. I know it's only 2 videos, but I'll definitely include some clips with what I was talking about. There were a few times where I killed it, but I mean, what can you expect? It's my first time out on the bike. Not my real first time, my first time on like really technical terrain. So it's kind of understandable, but whatever. I'm not at all mad about not getting out and not liking it, because it's like I said, I absolutely love trying new things. I love building these things up. Brings me a lot of joy. It's something I'm passionate about. So I'm really, like I said, I'm really grateful to be in that position and be able to do this kind of stuff. So